Scandal has rocked Daystar Television Network as co-founder and president Joni Lamb faces explosive accusations from her own son, Jonathan Lamb, and his wife, Suzy. Allegations of a cover-up surrounding the alleged abuse of her granddaughter have ignited public debate, with Joni vehemently denying any wrongdoing. On a recent episode of Joni's Table Talk, she called the claims a complete lie, blaming a misinformed blogger for spreading false narratives. But with conflicting accounts and a high-profile family feud unfolding, questions loom large. How did this once-united Christian broadcasting family reach such a public and painful breaking point? Let's unpack the controversy. The allegations and legal back and forth between the Ross Report and Daystar. In a dramatic development on Tuesday night, Ross issued a letter via X, the social media platform, in response to legal action proposed by Michael D. Anderson, a prominent attorney at Kelly Hart, representing Daystar and its executive leaders. Anderson's letter demands that Ross retract or amend the allegations published in the Ross Report, TRR, concerning incidents involving Daystar's high-profile figures, Jonathan and Suzy Lamb, by Friday or face legal repercussions. This correspondence marked the second request for a retraction from the legal firm since the initial accusations surfaced, emphasizing the potential for further legal action. The core of Anderson's argument is that the assertions published by TRR in the November 24, 2024 article are completely unfounded. Anderson describes the content of the articles as being based on falsehoods, devoid of any verifiable proof. He vehemently claims that the accusations stem from a smear campaign spearheaded by Jonathan and Suzy Lamb themselves, with no reliable evidence to substantiate the allegations made against the Lambs. He specifically points to the lack of any credible support for the charges, other than the Lambs' uncorroborated accusations. According to Anderson, TRR's failure to retract or revise these reports could result in the publication facing legal accountability for spreading what he terms as defamatory and reckless statements. The response from TRR's legal team. In turn, the Ross Report's legal counsel, led by attorney Christine Jones, issued a strong rebuttal on Tuesday, emphasizing the publication's stance on journalistic integrity and the right to report on issues of public concern. Jones underscored that TRR stands by its reporting despite Anderson's claims and would not be making any corrections or retractions to the articles. Jones also referenced the fact that TRR had offered ample opportunity for Daystar representatives to respond to the allegations before publication, including a detailed request for comment sent to Daystar. This, she argues, is evidence of TRR's commitment to fair and thorough reporting. Jones further contended that the articles published by TRR were not crafted with the intent to malign the Lambs, but were the product of diligent journalistic inquiry into serious public interest matters. In her letter, she emphasized that TRR's commitment to the highest standards of journalistic honesty was clear in how the allegations were investigated and presented. Importantly, she clarified that at no point had TRR published anything with knowledge of its untruth or with reckless indifference to the truth. Instead, Jones pointed to the factual nature of the reporting, which included multiple viewpoints, thus adhering to the ethical norms expected of reputable journalism. Allegations of abuse and the Lamb family's involvement. The crux of the allegations centers around claims of abuse within the Lamb family. The story, as presented by the Ross Report, involves disturbing accusations from Jonathan and Suzy Lamb about an incident that allegedly occurred during a family vacation at a Daystar-owned beach house in 2021. According to the Lambs, the situation unfolded after they discovered Pete, a family member, in a room with their daughter who was allegedly changing clothes. The Lambs assert that they confronted Pete about his behavior and later learned from their daughter that she had been sexually assaulted. This disclosure, they allege, was part of a series of troubling incidents that led them to believe that Pete's actions were more than just a misunderstanding. However, the Lamb's version of events was met with resistance from Joni Lamb, the matriarch of Daystar. According to Joanna, her son and daughter-in-law had misrepresented the facts and merged two distinct incidents to create a false narrative. In her retelling, the episode in question was blown out of proportion, and Pete's actions were mischaracterized. Joanna further claimed that no such assault took place and that her granddaughter's recollections were inconsistent. Her explanation differed significantly from the portrayal put forth by Jonathan and Suzy Lamb,
raising doubts about the veracity of the allegations. Conflicting narratives and public scrutiny. In addition to the clash over the facts of the beach house incident, the Ross Report's articles highlighted a number of inconsistencies and contradictions in the Lamb story. These discrepancies have become central to the ongoing dispute between Daystar and the publication. One key point of contention centers around the behavior of the Lambs after they allegedly discovered the abuse. According to Jonathan and Suzy Lamb, when they brought their concerns to Joni Lamb and Marcus Lamb, they were advised not to report the incident to the police. This, they allege, was part of a broader effort by the Lamb family to protect Pete and preserve Daystar's public image rather than ensuring justice for the alleged victim. On the other hand, Joni Lamb's response to these allegations has painted a starkly different picture. She insists that no such conspiracy existed, asserting that the entire situation was a misunderstanding. According to her, the actions of Pete were innocent, and the situation was immediately resolved without any need for law enforcement intervention. Yet, as TRR's articles pointed out, the matter was far from resolved, as evidenced by an internal investigation at Daystar that was allegedly shut down before it could make any substantial progress. The forensic counselor in charge of the inquiry claimed that Joni and Marcus Lamb had obstructed her attempts to conduct a thorough investigation, further fueling suspicions about the Lambs' role in handling the matter. This ongoing tug-of-war between the Lambs and TRR has led to public scrutiny, with each side accusing the other of mishandling sensitive information. The dispute has garnered significant attention, particularly given Daystar's influential role in the religious and media landscape. With a global reach of 6.8 billion people and a presence in 2.3 billion households, Daystar is not just a television network, but a key player in shaping public discourse on various social and political issues. As such, the controversy surrounding the Lamb family and their handling of the abuse allegations has become a matter of wider public interest. The Lamb's personal accounts and defense. As the narrative surrounding the alleged abuse continues to unfold, the Lamb family has taken to social media and public statements to defend their actions. In one of the most widely discussed responses, Joni Lamb addressed the claims made against her and her family, particularly the allegations involving Pete's supposed encounter with her granddaughter. According to Joanna, Pete's interaction with the children was entirely benign and misinterpreted by Jonathan and Suzy. She offered a detailed account of the events, describing how Pete, along with the infant and her grandson, had simply entered the room to admire the view. Joanna stressed that there was no inappropriate conduct involved, and any suggestions to the contrary were grossly exaggerated. She recounted how she was present during the entire episode and had heard Pete's interactions with the children. When her granddaughter went to change into her bathing suit, she insisted Pete was not in the room at that time. Instead, Pete had already left the area, and the entire incident was no more than a misunderstanding. Joanna lambasted the allegations, calling them unfounded, and portraying the accusations as part of an orchestrated effort to damage Daystar's reputation. Despite her assertions, Suzy Lamb, one of the primary accusers, responded angrily, suggesting that Joanna had mischaracterized her mental health in an attempt to discredit her. In a now-deleted tweet, Suzy accused Joanna of trying to portray her as unstable and paranoid. She defended herself by claiming that the truth would ultimately prevail, despite the challenges she faced in presenting her version of the story. This confrontation further fueled the public feud, with each side accusing the other of dishonesty and misconduct. The larger impact on Daystar and public perception. The ongoing legal battle and media coverage surrounding the Lamb's alleged abuse case has had far-reaching implications for Daystar. The network, founded by Marcus and Joni Lamb, has long been a significant force in the Christian television world. However, the accusations of misconduct involving their family members have cast a shadow over the organization's reputation. Daystar's ability to maintain its credibility as a trusted source of religious programming is now under intense scrutiny, with many questioning the transparency and integrity of the network's leadership. Moreover, the controversy has sparked a broader conversation about the handling of abuse allegations within powerful religious organizations. As more details emerge, the public is becoming increasingly aware of how influential figures within the Christian community navigate such sensitive issues. For some, the Lambs' refusal to engage with law enforcement or allow a proper investigation has raised serious ethical concerns, while others view the situation as a personal dispute blown out of proportion by the media. Either way, the Lambs' actions, as well as the reporting of the Ross report, are now the subject of intense debate, with no clear resolution in sight. The 2020 allegations and the inaction of the Lamb family. In the fall of 2020, a troubling incident arose at the preschool attended by Joni Lamb's granddaughter. Suzy, a concerned mother, reached out to Joni with distressing news. Her young daughter had been acting strangely, scratching her private area, a behavior that caused Suzy concern. After pressing her daughter, Suzy alleges that the young girl revealed a shocking truth: that a male student had inappropriately touched her during a lunch break in the school cafeteria. The revelation set off a cascade of emotions, leading Suzy to take swift action. Suzy did not hesitate to bring her daughter to a physician, hoping to gain clarity about the cause of her daughter's discomfort. According to Suzy, the doctor performed a thorough evaluation, but found no evidence of any injury, scarring, or infection. While this was a relief to Suzy, it did not ease the pain and worry she felt in her heart. Her daughter's words were clear: someone had touched her inappropriately, and yet there was no physical proof to corroborate the claim. The doctor's verdict did little to dispel Suzy's growing suspicions. In an effort to navigate the complicated situation, Suzy reached out to her family for support. As the situation was highly sensitive and personal, she confided in her mother, Joni Lamb, in hopes of finding both emotional comfort and practical advice. It was here that the conflict between Suzy and Joni began to take shape, a divide that would fester in the months to come. Joni's reaction to the allegations. According to Suzy, when she shared the news of the alleged abuse with her mother, Joni's response was not one of alarm or urgency. Instead, Suzy recalls that Joni advised against going to the police. Joni, according to Suzy, believed that the situation could be handled privately, away from the scrutiny of the legal system. She urged Suzy and her husband, Jonathan, to keep the matter within the family, suggesting that Suzy should bring her granddaughter to Joni so that she could have a private conversation with the girl. The motives behind Joni's response have become a source of contention. While Joni insists that she had no ill intentions, Suzy believes that her mother's insistence on not involving the authorities could have led to the suppression of the truth. In her mind, Joni's reaction could be seen as an attempt to protect the family, especially her son-in-law, Pete, who had been named as the alleged perpetrator. For Suzy, the fact that her mother discouraged official action raised troubling questions about the Lamb family's priorities. The lockbox phenomenon. One of the most disturbing elements of the situation, according to Suzy, was the complete silence of her granddaughter after the conversation with Joni. Suzy describes the girl as becoming a lockbox, her mind and emotions seemingly closed off to anyone who tried to probe deeper into the incident. It was as if the trauma had been shut away in a place where no one could reach it, and Suzy found herself helpless in her attempts to understand what had truly occurred. This lockbox phenomenon has been described as a psychological defense mechanism, a way for a child to protect themselves from traumatic memories that are too painful or overwhelming to process. Children who experience abuse often bury their feelings, especially when faced with the complex emotions tied to the violation of their personal boundaries. For Suzy, the image of her granddaughter withdrawing into silence became a haunting symbol of the emotional toll the entire ordeal had taken. The police report and investigation. Despite Joni's reluctance to involve law enforcement, Suzy and Jonathan ultimately took matters into their own hands. Concerned for the well-being of their daughter, they went to the police to report the incident. However, the police investigation quickly hit a dead end. The case was dismissed due to a lack of evidence, specifically because their daughter refused to speak about what had allegedly happened to her. For Suzy and Jonathan, this outcome was both disheartening and frustrating. They had hoped that by bringing the case to the authorities, they could ensure that justice would be served, but instead, they were left with no answers. Their daughter's silence, coupled with the absence of physical evidence, had led the authorities to close the case without pursuing further investigation. The reopening of the case. The story did not end there, however. In 2023, the case was unexpectedly reopened, sparked by an incident during a therapy session for Suzy and Jonathan's daughter. A counselor, during the course of her work with the young girl, identified signs of possible abuse and reported these concerns to the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services, DPS. The case was forwarded to the Colleyville Police Department in Texas, and a new investigation was initiated. This time, the case was being treated with a fresh perspective, and the allegations of abuse were being examined in light of the new information that had come to light. As of February 26, 2024, the case remains under investigation, though it is important to note that no formal charges have yet been filed. The fact that the case was reopened has added an additional layer of complexity to an already volatile family situation. While some family members, including Joni, have expressed disbelief and frustration at the reopening of the case, others, including Suzy and Jonathan, feel that this new investigation offers the possibility of uncovering the truth. Joni Lamb's denial. In response to the allegations and the public attention surrounding them, Joni Lamb has consistently denied any involvement in a cover-up. In an interview, she adamantly stated, "Marcus isn't here, but I will just say I never covered up anything. I wouldn't hide anything. Marcus didn't cover up anything." Joni went on to dismiss the accusations, describing them as the work of a low-level blogger, who she claimed was spreading false narratives in an attempt to destroy her family's reputation. Joni's anger and frustration with the media's portrayal of the situation were evident in her words. She seemed to believe that the reporting on the events was sensationalized, distorting the truth to serve an agenda that sought to undermine her family. Joni's version of events paints a picture of a family working through a misunderstanding, a miscommunication that had been resolved through prayer and reconciliation. According to Joni, the matter had been settled long ago, and the public attention it had garnered in recent months was unwarranted. The prayer meeting and the revelation. In an attempt to resolve the turmoil surrounding the allegations, Joni called for a family prayer meeting. During this time, Joni claims to have received a divine revelation. Pete, her son-in-law, was innocent. She stated that after praying about the situation, God had shown her that Pete was not guilty of the accusations leveled against him. This revelation, according to Joni, brought a sense of peace to the family and led to an apology from Suzy and Jonathan. Joni describes the moment as a time of spiritual healing, where the family came together to pray and seek resolution. However, for Suzy and Jonathan, the events surrounding the prayer meeting and Joni's revelation have only deepened their sense of unease. The idea that a family member, especially a grandmother, would believe that a potential abuser was innocent, without further investigation or evidence, has been a point of contention. Suzy in particular has questioned whether the family's desire for reconciliation and peace led them to overlook important red flags and ignore the possibility of abuse. The 2021 beach incident. The tension within the Lamb family continued to grow in 2021 when another incident occurred during the family's annual beach retreat. This time, the allegations centered around Pete's behavior with Joni's granddaughter. According to Suzy, the events at the beach house were highly suspicious and raised new questions about Pete's interactions with the children. She claims that the family was summoned to Joni's bedroom, where they were urged to repent and pray for forgiveness. Joni then informed them the following day that she had received another revelation during her prayer time, that Pete was innocent. The 2021 beach incident became a focal point in the ongoing family drama. While Joni insisted that Pete was blameless, Suzy and Jonathan remained unconvinced. The situation seemed to further expose the fault lines within the family, as each side became entrenched in their own beliefs about what had really happened and what should be done about it. In a wider context, the controversy surrounding the Lamb family has attracted attention from various media outlets, including the Ross Report. The publication's investigation into the allegations has sparked even more controversy as the family continues to grapple with their personal struggles and the public scrutiny that comes with it. While some family members have defended the Lambs, others have sought to hold them accountable for their actions or perceived inaction in the face of troubling accusations. Joni Lamb's public defense of her family and her unwavering support for Pete have led to a deepening divide within the family. Some members are questioning whether the Lambs have prioritized their own image and reputation over the safety and well-being of the children involved, while others insist that the accusations are unfounded. and that Pete has been unfairly targeted. What remains clear is that the story is far from over, and the Lamb family will continue to struggle with the complexities of this painful and public saga.